So you're sitting there doing your research on your big move to Denver, Colorado, and maybe you find yourself sitting there wondering, man, what am I missing about Denver? What am I not going to like about moving to Denver, Colorado? And I can tell you, myself being a two-timer, I got hit with the Niwot curse, moved here over 20 years ago, went back to Chicago, then a year or two later ended up coming back here to Colorado because I just loved it so much. But I'm going to share with you the top 15 reasons why you're not going to want to move to Denver, Colorado. And if you want to find out what these 15 things are, just stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Alex Saldana. I've been a local real estate agent, investor, house flipper since 2010. And on this channel, we go over everything work, play, investing in the Denver metro area. So if you're new here, consider hitting the subscribe button, hit that notification button. And we are getting phone calls, text messages, emails every single day from people moving in or relocating to Denver, and we absolutely love it. So if you're thinking of doing any move or relocate around the Denver metro area, be sure to give us a call, shoot us a text, shoot us an email. Nights, weekends, doesn't matter, we got your back. All right, so I've got a good list here, and these are either from my own experiences or from my clients that are moving here or moving from one spot to another, and things that we just hear daily that maybe we take for granted being in the city of Denver. And now I'm going to be brutally honest on this stuff because this lifestyle isn't for everybody. And I'm telling you right now, reason number one is probably the biggest reason, so hang out till the end because it won't disappoint. Number 15, and this has got to be our dry climate. If you've never lived in a high desert environment, you don't know what dry is till you wake up in the middle of the night with your tongue plastered to the roof of your mouth. Water is always by your bed. You can't go to sleep without it. When you go camping, water literally lives right next to you. I have a water bottle that literally follows me around every single day, 24 hours a day. And the rest of my family is the same. Now, if you look up the average humidity in Denver, you're going to see results of 30 to 42%. But I don't know where they get these numbers from because every time I look at my phone on any warm day, the average humidity is anywhere from 10 to 15%, which is why we have swamp coolers instead of air conditioning units. Now, if you have a really big house, AC is pretty normal, but I didn't even know what a swamp cooler was until I moved to Colorado. But I'll tell you what, we have one in our house, and it's just a fan with water dripping over this mesh screen, and it keeps our house at about 70 to 72 degrees, even when it's 95 plus. So the upsides of having a dry climate is that during our heat, the shade is still really cool because there's literally zero humidity. But if you're someone who needs humidity, Denver's not your place. Number 14, if you're not a fan of wildlife or you're scared to death of bears or mountain lions, Denver probably isn't a place for you. Now, we are in a bigger city, but literally at least once a year, I hear some report or some news article about some black bear stuck up in a tree. When you get closer to the foothills, it's not uncommon for mountain lions to go after dogs. A lot of the deer come down from the foothills. Mountain lions are their number one predators, and so our two worlds combined. When I used to live in the foothills outside of Boulder, we had one of our neighbors have their dog taken out of their house, an 80-pound golden retriever, by a mountain lion. So they are here, they're around. Coyotes are not rare to see, even in our neighborhood, running down our street, which drives our dogs absolutely crazy. Deer, elk, they are rampant around here. So if you don't like thinking that wildlife might be somewhere around you, whether you're going for a drive or just in your neighborhood or going for a hike, probably not going to want to move to Denver. Number 13, if you're a Republican and you want to be surrounded by nothing but Republicans, then Denver's not going to be right for you. Denver's voting demographics are about 4-1 when it comes to Democrat to Republicans. Now, Colorado in general is more of a purple state, they call us, but we have voted blue over the last handful of elections, and the more urban areas, like Denver, are going to lean heavily Democratic. Number 12 on our list for reasons you might not want to move to Denver is if you don't like a growing city. Denver's population increase has been one of the higher in the country for a large city. And in fact, since the year 2000, we've grown about 28% in population. And that's largely due to the lifestyle here. We do have a younger population that does like to move to Denver. Our outdoor sports are phenomenal. And when you compare us to other large cities around the country, we do have a great lifestyle that has an incredible balance with jobs and the outdoor lives compared to Chicago, New York, LA. Our cost of living is going to be similar to a lot of those other cities. But what I found is that more people like to live their life at 5 a.m. by going skiing, mountain biking, hiking, versus at 2 a.m. going to bars and restaurants like in other big cities. So if a continuing city growth bugs you, where there's going to be construction all around, from infrastructure to new build homes going up to new apartments and condos, and you just like things to stay the status quo, which I don't see cooling down anytime in the near future, then you might want to rethink Denver. Reason number 11 to get under your skin when moving to Denver: if you are a skier and you want a quick commute to go skiing, Denver's not your place. Sorry to say it. All the ski resorts from here, we've got Keystone, Breckenridge, A-Base, and Loveland as most of the closest. Eldora outside of Boulder, that one's a little bit closer. They're in that 75 to 85 mile range for a lot of ski resorts that can handle a couple 100,000 people. However, if you're a weekend skier, unless you're going Monday through Friday, the time to leave Denver to go skiing, to hit the first chair, which is usually 8:30 in the morning on weekends for the ski resorts, is going to be 5:15 a.m. If you leave at 5:30, it's going to take you more than 2.5 hours to get there on average on every single weekend. The traffic can be maddening, and it seems just the later that you leave, the longer that drive's going to get. It's hard for us to go up on the weekends unless we're staying there overnight somewhere, because sucking up 5 to 6 hours of driving for 4 to 6 hours of skiing just really isn't worth it anymore. It was when we were back in our 20s, but today it's just not worth it for us. So if you're looking for a quick commute to get to skiing, then you're going to want to be closer to the foothills, in the foothills, or heck, just move up to Summit County, and then you got a 10-minute drive to a handful of ski resorts around you. Number 10, wildfires. They are absolutely a thing. Even last year, we had a fire that got started on the lowlands here, which is not normal. So if you don't know Denver, we're not actually in the mountains. We're not in this big forested area. We look like any city in most of the United States. But the foothills and the mountains are just to our west by 15, 20 minutes. But we had a fire breakout last year in 2022 that took out hundreds of homes. We have a few areas of Denver that get these wind gusts that just tunnel down from the mountains and the foothills, and a fire broke out close to a neighborhood, and it got really bad really, really fast. Now, other than that, that was a total anomaly. I can't recall any other fires breaking out in neighborhoods over the last 20 years. But on the foothills, it's absolutely a common thing. Estes Park the last couple of years has had numerous fires where we've gone camping and we've almost had to turn around because the smoke was so bad. So if you have respiratory issues, most of the West Coast even now might be a little bit off limits, but Denver has just been getting increasingly worse, it seems, over the last 10 years, with its wildfires getting a bit closer and a bit closer, and the smog and the smoke just sitting down in the valley here, making it really rough. In 2020, I feel like the entire summer, it literally smelled like our neighbor had a bonfire going for the entire summer. It was that bad. And it can be scary. People do lose homes in the mountains, and it's a big tax on a lot of our resources. We do have planes that come down to Denver really often, fill up their planes with water, go back to the foothills, dump it, and they'll just rotate for 24 hours a day. Helicopters, same story. We have lots of firefighters that come to this state to help fight the wildfires nationally. And even though Denver doesn't have a big history with fires in the city limits, the surrounding areas and where the smoke trails to can be really, really large. So if that's a major issue for you, just cross Denver off your list. Number 9, wild temperature swings, and I mean wild. It is not uncommon many times throughout the year to have a 50 to 60 degree swing in temperature from overnight to midday the next week. Just earlier this week, we had temperatures at 6-7 degrees, where the next day it was in the mid 60s. So not uncommon whatsoever. You will go through all 4 seasons in a day, multiple times a year. Springtime, extremely unpredictable for planting plants. The rule of thumb here is wait until Mother's Day and then wait for the next storm after that, because a day or two after Mother's Day, we'll get a blizzard of 6 to 12 inches and it'll destroy all your annuals and your vegetable garden. So if you're not okay with wearing multiple layers, 3 to 4 all the time, every single day, and being ready for 80 degrees yet 20 degrees on the same day, Denver might not be the place you want to live. Reason number 8, high elevation. We are a high desert city. We sit at over 5,000 feet. They call us the Mile High City for a reason because we do sit a mile above sea level. But now that elevation is a gradual increase from eastern Colorado up to Denver, so you don't notice it as you're driving into town. And then you look west and you see all these huge mountains, but a lot of those are sitting at 13 to 14,000 feet. So there's a 7 to 8,000 foot elevation gain from a lot of the mountains that you're looking at to the west. But we do sit at 5,000 feet, and altitude sickness is a very real thing. There are people, there are professional athletes that don't even come to Denver because the elevation does affect them. Now, if you're coming here to visit or if you are coming here to move, all I can say is that when you first get here, don't go on any long runs, don't go on any big massive hikes because it can take anywhere from a few days to a few weeks to really acclimate to our elevation. Now, we live at 5,000 feet here in Denver. When we go up to the high country and go skiing, and we've got to take any sort of a good hike with skis, with packs and luggage and whatnot, we can generally feel it when we're staying at 8,000 or 9,000 feet. So even that much of an elevation gain from here, having lived here for over 20 years, you can definitely feel it, and it takes a little while to adjust to it. And one more note for all you lowlanders out here, if you're coming to Denver and you're not used to the elevation, don't go buck wild on drinking. Having one drink here is similar to having 2 to 3 drinks back at sea level. Take it easy, have one drink, have one glass of water, and rotate them throughout the night so you don't overdo it. So if you have altitude sickness or you have respiratory issues, asthma that make it hard to breathe at elevation, once again, Denver might not be on your top list to move to. Reason number 7 why Denver, Colorado might not be for you. And that's if you don't like health nuts. If you don't like swerving around people running or biking on the streets or the sight of Sprouts or Whole Foods on every other corner, then Denver might not be the right city for you. Colorado is consistently ranked in the top 10 of the healthiest states in the country, and Denver amongst the healthiest cities. And it is not uncommon if you were to take a 5-mile drive through Denver, you're going to see dozens of people running, biking, walking their dogs, and everything in between. Farmers markets are a regular in our lives, as they are a lot of our friends. Every weekend we go there and buy from local growers and farmers their organic produce, and it's just part of the lifestyle here. Now, if you go to Walmart or McDonald's a bunch and you live here, what you're going to find is that people just don't really openly say it, to be honest with you, even though they do go occasionally, because it's just not part of what we consider the Denver lifestyle. So if being surrounded by a bunch of health nuts just makes you want to jump off a bridge, then don't come to Denver. Reason number 6 to not move to Denver. If you're not someone who likes transplants, if you're someone who likes the status quo, who likes things the way that they are, and you don't want them to change, then it might not be for you, because statistically, anywhere from 5 to 10% of our population in Denver every single year is implanted here from out of state. I know that seems like a wild number, but it's true. We attract people from all over the country between our tech jobs, between our outdoor lifestyle. If you want to be a ski bum, we've got it here for you. But if you always want your neighbors to be the same for the next 20 years, then don't move to Denver, because lots of people come and lots of people go. Reason number 5 to not move to Denver, Colorado. If public transportation is your thing, Denver's not for you. We try. We really do. But I came from a big city back in Chicago, and you could catch a bus to a train virtually anywhere throughout the city. And I would say half of my friends there didn't even own a car when we lived in the city because parking was so much of a pain in the butt. And it wasn't worth it to pay for it and pay for parking tickets and having your car dented up and dinged up. But in general, Denver is more like a bunch of suburbs that are kind of put together. Yes, we do have a good-sized downtown area, but not many people live down there. So owning a car here is virtually a must. Yeah, we do have the light rail that runs north and south and east and west throughout the city, but getting to that light rail a lot of times is just not a convenient way to go. And then because not a lot of people use the public transportation, there's not much of an incentive to keep building out that infrastructure. So the time that you wait at a train station for the next train might be anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes on average. So you really got to plan out your day if you're going to take public transportation in the city of Denver. We're just not built for it yet. Number 4. high real estate prices. When you live in the best city in the country, you are going to pay higher than average costs of living. And part of that is going to be real estate. But here's what most people don't know is that our state property taxes are some of the lowest in the country. In fact, we're third lowest for property taxes. So when you do buy a house here, more of your money goes to the house instead of just to the government. But that's besides the point, because Zillow still ranks us the 8th most expensive metro area to live in the country. Not going to argue with that. Real estate prices are high, but at the same time, for what you're getting, where you're getting it, I think that's a pretty balanced trade-off, to be fair with you. Now today in Denver, the average price for a single family or condo is going to be $522,000, and here's what that can buy you today. But yes, I hear it all the time, God. $500,000 in Denver, what does that buy you? You can buy that thing in the middle of Ohio for $150,000. Yeah, but you got to be in the middle of Ohio to buy that. So yeah, our real estate can be a little bit out of control, but everything's a trade-off in life, right? But if you're not a fan of high real estate prices, which goes back to a constantly growing city that it has been for the last several decades now, then Denver isn't the right place for you. Number 3 on why Denver might not be right for you: snow.
Snow, 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 snow.
It does happen several times a year, but by no means are we this crazy embedded ski town that everybody thinks we are from out of this city. People do ride their bikes for 12 months out of the year. Bicycles, I mean. And yes, we do get snow here, but I'm not going to say it's anything more or worse than most places in the Midwest or out east. If anything, we get snow 6 inches here, and by the next day, it's 90% melted away because we have incredibly blue skies with incredibly warm sun, even in 30-degree weather. It's sweater weather here. But yes, if you cannot stand the snow, if the thought of snow just makes you want to crawl out of your skin, don't move to Denver. Number 2, millennials. Denver is the largest implant city in the country for millennials, and it has been for years now. So if you can't stand millennials, being friends with millennials, being neighbors with millennials, then don't move to Denver. But the reason why they move here is because we're such an awesome city, and they know it, and they're sticking around, and they're bringing all their friends here. I mean, I'm from Chicago, but I moved here over 20 years ago. I would say 90% of everybody I meet is not from here. So it just kind of piggybacks off people transplanting into this wonderful city, and we just happen to get a big group of young people moving here because you know what? They could. And I really don't blame them. But if the thought of being a neighbor to, or God forbid, a friend with a millennial just drives you nuts, then don't come to Denver. And the number one reason to not move to Denver is if you cannot stand legal weed. It kind of is everywhere. It does get under our skin a little bit too. I mean, you could be driving on the highway, and there are certain parts of I-25 where you will get a waft of just pot smoke. And there's some grow houses down there, and I think that's where the bulk of it comes from. I'm not really quite sure, but it's not uncommon even when we're walking our dogs in the neighborhood. I mean, if someone's smoking pot in their house, with the type of pot that's out there today, it's a really pungent. You know, if someone's having a drink in their backyard, it might not bug you. Maybe they get a little bit loud, but if someone's smoking pot a handful of doors away, even in a single family home neighborhood, you can smell it. And currently today in Denver, there's about 200 retail and medicinal dispensaries in and around the city limits. And it's not nearly as much as liquor stores, but they are around. You will see them all over the city of Denver. And you will occasionally be walking down the street, downtown, and you will pass people smoking pot. Whether it's legal or not, I don't know, kind of like drinking in public. I'm going to assume it's not legal, but you are going to be surrounded by it, so don't let it catch you off guard because it is all over the place. So if being around the smell of pot or knowing that it's legal in our city and state isn't something that's for you, then I would probably say moving to Denver isn't the right move for you. You know, overall, in case you can't tell, I do think Denver is a fabulous city, but it is not right for everybody. But I feel like we're a pretty solid balance in lifestyles. You can be four-wheeling on the weekend within a couple of hours from Denver. You can be going to art galleries. You can be going to the aquarium. And so we do have a pretty vibrant city life as well as that rural feel to it, really close to downtown. And I think a lot of people are actually surprised at how rural it can feel just outside of the city limits. You know, if you were in the middle of downtown Denver on any night at 3 a.m., no traffic, within 15 minutes, you could be in virtually the middle of nowhere. I do think there's something here for everyone, but the elevation, wildfires, snow, there are some things that a lot of people can't get past, which would be great reasons to not be here in the first place. But yes, we do have all four seasons. We have an extreme four seasons. We get hot in the summer, we get cold in the winter, our falls are beautiful, and so we experience everything throughout the year. But I realize that's not for everybody. But if you don't know if the city of Denver is right for you, but maybe the outskirts are, you know, maybe you're looking towards Parker, maybe you're looking closer to the foothills towards Golden, or even further south towards Castle Rock because you don't want to be in the middle of the city, in the middle of the hustle and bustle. So don't hesitate. Once again, call, text, email. Any time of day or night, we'll be here. And if you're wondering what it is like to live in Denver and you want to dig into some of the stats, check out this video that's coming up here, and we're going to go over what makes this city so great. And until the next time, happy housing.